thank you for taking the time to meet with me today.
Yeah.
This is for you.
Thank you.
Oh, of course. Sorry. No, you're totally fine. I got that at SLU.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mhm. Little bills.
Yeah, there you go. Just for you. So today we're going to do some lesson plan internalization. Your success was over the last week. I've noticed that you've been creating strong key ideas in student-friendly language. And this is something you've been getting feedback on and that I've seen implemented in your lesson plans. What is the impact of this on student learning?
They've been able to understand more what's being taught, especially if it's like a little bit more confusing. If you even put it in words that you think that they would understand,
Mm-hmm.
it also helps you remember to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and write that down. I also love that you named how it helps you as the teacher. This week, I want to dive into creating an aggressive monitoring plan. To do this, I want you to take a look at this exemplar lesson, specifically the aggressive monitoring plan. And while you do this, I want you to keep in mind what is effective about how this teacher plans to monitor student work. And you can go ahead and record. Great. So what are some of the things that you noticed?
So there's 3 tiers. They put nearly there, not yet, and on track. And then they had like a code that they put on the papers, and then there was the goal at the top of what they wanted to see. And then for nearly there, the adapted instruction was to guide to identify, while the not yet was to remodel how to do it.
Great. And for the nearly there and the not yet, what do you notice about what it says in these 2 boxes?
The one is having difficulty, and the other one is not, as like one part of it is not being completed, where the other one, like both parts that you want to see are not completed.
Yeah, so it's specific misconceptions.
Yeah.
Great. So now I want to take a look at a lesson plan. I think this was Wednesday's plan from last week, I believe, lesson 47, that you submitted last week. What is the gap between what you just named and what you see in your lesson plan?
So it doesn't have like the 3 different, like the tiers, and then how to react according to what like is there.
Mm-hmm. And then I believe it goes on to the back too, so you can go ahead and take a look at that.
Yeah, so there was like those were the 3, but I could better do like what I was expecting to see from them. When you said like the specific misconceptions, it just kind of says like 50 to 70, and it's not quite sure like what the percentages are for.
Yep, exactly. So your misconceptions were pretty broad, like you named, and then the way you were monitoring student work was up here, but it didn't really then follow where your monitoring plan was. Okay, so based off of this, what do you think your action step is for this week?
Clearly writing lesson plans, the monitoring strategies.
Great, so that's your what? Create a monitoring plan while internalizing lesson plans. How are you going to do that?
By identifying the misconceptions and putting like the 3 different tracks that the students can be on, and then how you're going to adapt the instruction based on those.
Great. So you got step 1 perfectly. Identify possible misconceptions. Step 2 you also named. Identify how to address the misconception. So that could be a prompting question, a model, whatever it was that you saw. step 3, and this is actually something that you've been doing. What did you name was on the exemplar?
The code.
Mm-hmm. And step 4, what's the purpose of aggressively monitoring?
So you can make sure that they're gonna get to like the goal that you want.
Yep, and how do you do that with?
Oh, with data?
Yeah, create the template to track the data. Okay, great. Now say back to me in your own words.
So the first step is to identify the different misconceptions that you think will occur when you're trying to like teach that goal.
Mm-hmm.
The second one is to identify how you'll be able to address the misconceptions. So nearly there, what questions are you gonna ask to guide them? And if they're not there yet, like what are you gonna remodel and how are you gonna remodel it? The third one is the code that you write on top of the students' papers, and the fourth one is a data tracker so you can see like what students are struggling the most, and you can better support them further on in the lessons.
Great. So what we're gonna do now is take out your lesson plan for today. So what I want you to do now is I want you to take 2 minutes on your own to create 2 possible specific misconceptions that students are going to face.
Okay.
You can do that on the back of the paper
In
first.
the review or for like the entire lesson in general?
After you do round 1.
After you do that.
Great. What are the 2 misconceptions that you want to
The first one is not getting rid of the non-variable term first, so a lot of the times they'll get rid of the variable term.
Okay.
And the second one is performing the incorrect inverse operations.
Great. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take 5 minutes and we're both going to create an aggressive monitoring plan, and then we're going to spar.
So when you have these 2 different misconceptions, and I can have 2 different
So
response.
is this your first lap?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the example that you saw today, this is a little
Yeah.
bit different because this is when I was like working with a small group of students
Mhm.
on a writing prompt. So this was how I was going to respond to a small group. So you could have like lap 1 and then
Okay.
Yep.
And then there'll be like a different table for like lap 2.
Yep. You can totally do it that way. Go ahead and finish up where you are. I just wanna show you what I would do, because I didn't get to the second. Two was one. Alright, let's start. What are some of the things that you, first of all, the things that I love on here is that you identified like a specific turn and talk that you could use for both of those labs to address the misconception. What are some things that you can use from this example?
You have, for example, which gives like like what you will say when that happens. And then also, I forgot the student initials to track the data for how like people like how they respond to it.
Yep, and I think like to make it easier, because you have like a tool up here, but
Okay.
it's not differentiated between which lab.
Mhm.
And so like what I was gonna then do was create like, I can share this with you, and an
Mhm.
additional table down there so that I can just keep all of it on one side. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah.
So I'll go ahead and share this with you so
Okay.
you can use this. Alright, so going forward, this is what I'm gonna be looking for in your lesson plan. What questions do you have?
I don't have any.
Alright, great. Well, that's it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.